you got a bad shot there, boy. We're gonna have to amputate this one.
Wait, what? Hold on, wait a minute. So you're gonna amputate me, right?
Yes.
Okay, where are the drugs?
You want some chloroform? That's all we got.
No, you're gonna give me some goddamn drugs because you're not gonna cut off my leg without, give me some drugs.
Bad news, kiddo.
You might be wondering who this person in distress is. Well, it's me. I'll tell you how I got there, but first we need to explain some stuff. It all started 4 years ago.
And I, Abraham Lincoln, decided that I would run for Senator of Illinois in 1858. Although I lost, I did win President in 1860 against Stephen A. Douglas.
On April 12, 1861, Confederate forces surrounded Fort Sumter in the Charleston harbor of South Carolina. At 4:30 a.m., they fired the first shot of the bloodiest war in American history.
Why are the cannons pointing at us?
That is a good question.
None of your damn business.
Hey,
Pew!
go away.
Pew!
Hey,
stop
hey,
it.
stop!
Pew.
Stop!
Hey,
Hey,
stop it.
stop!
Get out of our fort!
Go away.
No, this is
You're
our
our fort.
You're in our town.
Get away! This
Yeah,
is
go
Union!
live.
This is
Go.
Union!
This is
Go
our
away.
spot.
Stop it!
Reloading.
Stop shooting at us.
Reloading! Firing!
Fire! No!
Reloading.
Stop! Stop!
Fire!
No, the horse! No! You killed the horse! Why are you so mean? Go away!
Get out of our fort!
We surrender.
They raised the white flag. Yay, we won! The end!
And then I declared war.
They attacked us. I declare war.
After Lincoln declared war, he realized he needed an army with lots of soldiers really quickly. And so he looked for new ways to get one.
Many young men signed up alongside me to join the war effort. However, many others were forced to fight because of the drafts that were set up after volunteers stopped appearing.
Soldiers trained rigorously, ready for anything to come their way. And then my soldiers were ready.
On September 17, 1862, General McClellan fought off General Lee's attacks, ending his first invasion of the Union. Over 22,000 soldiers were dead or injured due to the battle.
Attack! Oh, hell no! Boom! Retreat!
It took long hours and hard work to figure out how to shift the purpose behind the war from secession to ending slavery, until one day, in 1863, I issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which changed the legal status of more than 3.5 million enslaved African Americans from slave to free.
On July 1st, 1863, Lee accidentally met up with Union General Meade in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. The Union victory ended Lee's second invasion of the North, turning the tide of the war in favor of the Union.
Okay, no one's going to be here. This is a brilliant plan.
This is great. We're just gonna go behind them. We're gonna shoot them, and
Oh,
they're
yeah, just
never
plow
gonna.
through.
They're
Oh, yeah.
never gonna see us coming.
Oh yeah, totally.
Oh yeah, let's do this.
There's going to be no one here.
No one at all.
No
We're
one
gonna
could be
get
here.
this.
We are totally gonna crash out.
Entirely empty. There
Hell
couldn't
yeah.
be
Yeah.
anyone here.
Wow, this is amazing. Our plan worked. There's no one here.
It's entirely empty.
It's so perfect.
Man the cannons.
Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation, or any nation so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we but in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it, far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little know, nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
To win the war, the Union needed to control the Mississippi River. General Grant had captured all but one of the key cities along the river. On May 18th, Grant's forces forced the Confederates into their fort in Vicksburg, Mississippi. He laid siege to the fort for 47 days until they finally surrendered.
It's the Union!
We own the Mississippi!
We may have won the Mississippi, but at what cost?
Oh, you got a bad shot there, boy. Gonna have to amputate this one.
Wait, what?
Sadly, a lot of soldiers like myself faced life-threatening injuries and were forced to go to field doctors. Their most likely option to treat a gunshot wound was just to straight up cut off the limb.
Hold on, wait a minute. So you're gonna amputate me, right?
Yes.
Okay, where are the drugs?
You want some chloroform? That's all we got.
No, you're gonna give me some goddamn drugs because you're not gonna cut off my leg without, giving me some fucking drugs.
Bad news, kiddo.
Over 600,000 Americans died in the war. I, as well as many other soldiers, died to disease.
Ow, my spleen.
In late May 1864, General Grant led an amphibious assault towards the Confederate capital of Richmond. Grant captured the key city of Petersburg, Virginia, cutting off Richmond from its railroad supply lines.
You guys ready?
Yeah!
Attack!
After General Sherman won a key victory in Atlanta,
I captured the Atlanta!
he led his men on a 300-mile march to the port city of Savannah, Georgia. He instructed his men to burn all resources in their path, including civilian farms.
The rapid amount of victories gave me confidence to run for a second term. During the election of 1864, I ran against Civil War General George McClellan, who I utterly wrecked, and won myself another 4-year term.
With no resources and a skilled Union army advancing, Lee was forced to retreat to the Appomattox Courthouse on April 9, 1865. Grant and his men surrounded Lee, forcing him to surrender.
Come out! We have you surrounded!
In the courthouse.
"1865. The war was won, and I was president. I had the rest of my life to look forward to. That is, until I was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth on April 14th in Ford's Theater. He shot me in the head, and I later died the next day."
Oh wow, this play's really nice.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's really nice, actually. I like the acting and the actors.
Yeah.
Bang!